Got a bit of a beard going on there, mate. That's quite depressing for me, being considerably older than you. And I can't fucking grow one.
Mate, I love that shirt.
Thanks, man. Yeah, this is a custom jobby from my auntie. Yeah, because I'm apparently still 10 years old and my auntie makes me clothes.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the final backstory. It is going to be, the final backstory, and it's going to be a week until I do the very first and maybe only live backstory where you guys get to come on and ask me some questions for an hour, maybe a bit longer. We'll see how we go. But so yeah, if you want to get in touch with that, let me know and we'll sort you out. But here right now, we are going to be talking to someone I haven't spoken to in a while. He is another comic-based YouTuber and Instagrammer, and he's joining me in for a chat to find out what has brought him towards comics and why he enjoys it. I'm going to be scratching his brain and trying to get some cool answers and a little bit into his life. But here we are talking to Ben from Seeking Geek on Instagram. Ben, how you doing?
Well, I hope that's the only thing you're going to scratch.
The night is young.
You did your introduction wrong. You said final episode, but it's actually finale. I'm the finale.
Sorry. You are the finale.
You know, you really did save the best till last.
I did. This is my first ever finale, so I hope you can forgive me for getting it wrong.
Forgive me for everything.
No, you're okay. Please. But how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good. Well, you know, I'm good as one can be with current situations. And I had a baby during a global pandemic, which is, you know, I mean, there's never maybe a good time. So yeah, it's all good. It's all good. But
good.
Alas, you know, we have comic books and YouTube and stuff to distract us from the woes of the world.
Yes, exactly. But yeah, we were just saying now we've never spoken before. Like we've sent like messages and comments and here and there, but we've never spoken to each other. We've got a lot of mutual people, don't we? Like we've been involved with Dean, Charlie from Geek Guy Comics, and Tom, not quite Mint. Like we've had dealings with those guys, but never each other.
I've been watching from afar. The bush in your garden.
How do you know there's a bush in my garden?
No, it's great. You know, I mean, obviously we've you know, with the help of channels like Comic Odino and things, we've kind of created a bit of a community here, and you know, that's been nice. And you know, there's kind of pockets of collaborations and things like that. And yeah, it's good to finally be. I mean, I've been watching every week, thinking. You know, he's got to ask me. It's a matter of time. Like, come on. And I've just been looking at my inbox. So the day
you there?
I was.
You just watching.
Then you slid into my DMs. I was a happy man.
Oh, Scott Shelf slid into your DMs. Were you just there, like at a rainy window, just like looking out?
I was. Yeah. That's where I go every night.
Oh.
And howl.
Same. Yeah, it's either there or my bush in my garden. Yeah. One or the other.
Naked both times.
Oh, great! So a fantastic mental image there. Thanks, mate. But yeah, do you want to get straight into it?
We can. Yes. Yeah. I'll take your lead, sir.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Okay. So, Ben, you have been a fan of comics for a while, I assume and hope.
Yes.
And I've been wondering, a question that everyone loves to be asked at the very start: how did the love of comics start for you?
So, the love of comics. So I'm just to give a bit of context, I'm a 31-year-old man now. And if we rewind back to, I mean, I think, you know, that kind of pathway into comics started as, you know, like way back when, you know, even when you're like, you know, 6 years old, I think if you're kind of choosing to, you know, play with a certain type of toy instead of the footballer toys or the cars or whatever it may be. I think you potentially start taking that avenue anyway. But I think the real turning point and the kind of gateway into comic books, and I've said it on a few different channels. So I am sorry if I'm boring anyone, but it would be the X-Men animated series on Fox Kids, alongside the Spider-Man animated series. They kind of, I mean, I literally think they were one after the other. And then you had Digimon as well, which I also
stop. Yeah.
So I mean, it was a good time to be a kid.
Fantastic time, yes.
Yeah. So I used to just watch that religiously every day, and you know, I've watched every episode God knows how many times, and that kind of got me hooked into like, oh, okay, what's Marvel? And at that point, do you know what I mean, we're still on dial-up. It's not like you can just Google things and get on your Wikipedias and stuff and research. So it was, you know, a slower process, I think, back there. I go to the like magazine shop, I guess, and you would have your English reprints of the stuff that's going on, you know, on in America, and that would often be sometimes even a year late, you know, in terms of the storyline. So it'd be like a collaboration of you know, they might have kind of 4 books in one kind of you know, comic, like
a trade kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of like a trade, not like a hardback, but just like a thicker comic. And usually in the UK ones, they had like a free, you know, a trading card or something like that. And I've got it up, so I didn't bring it out with me, but I've got the trading card. It was an Avengers, and it came with a X-Men trading card with James Master's Cyclops on. And it was probably then that film that kind of, it was the first kind of Marvel film that like hooked me. And yeah, I think it was then from that point onwards, it was just a kind of marriage of like every bit of Marvel paraphernalia, movies, TV shows, you know, comic books, magazines, whatever, you know, I would pick up. And yeah, I don't think I maybe started like being a proper, you know, comic book collector probably till after university. At university, I had a lot of trades and hardbacks and things, and we used to swap them and stuff and just sit there and, you know, I'm not going to say what we were doing, but it helped me sleep. And
meditation.
You chat about comics and things like that. So if I wasn't getting, you know, drunk at the SU, I'd probably be found round a mate's house, you know, chatting about comics or playing computer games and stuff. So that was cool. And then coming out of university, I did a bit of traveling and things like that, and you can't really collect when you're doing that. But I did still bring back a Thor hammer from Australia.
Wow.
Yeah, the Chinese customs lost their like, I'm telling you, they did not know what this thing was, and they were like, what? Like, it got stopped because I had it as part of my hand luggage. And
was it like full sized?
Yeah, it was like full size, but it was only, you know, plastic, like, and they took it and they were like hitting it on the side and like you know, like trying out, and they were like deadly serious, you know, and like having exchanges with each other about it and stuff. And eventually, you know, they gave me it back, and I just stood there like a lemon, like, oh, thanks. But yeah, it turns out all the security were worthy because they could lift it as well.
Yeah, they could lift it. Cool.
But yeah, when I got back from traveling, I'd say that was kind of, so I was, by this stage, I'd say like, I think I was 21 when I came back. And that was when I fully kind of went into like collecting weekly comics and creating, all my short boxes and whatnot. And throughout the years, you know, things have happened, and I might have had to sell a bulk. And I tend to sell things and then buy them back anyway, because I love them.
Have you ever found the ones that you owned?
Yeah, yeah, literally. Which, so God knows how much money has actually been wasted over the years. But yeah, and now it's kind of like it's leveled out to a place of sporadic collecting, I'd say. I buy based on like characters I love. There might be key issues that I love, but I'm never going to be able to afford, like, do you know what I mean? Like Silver Age kind of keys and stuff. That's just never going to happen. So that's kind of where I'm at now, really, with it all. But yeah, so blame Fox Kids, basically. Long story short.
Blame Fox Kids. I mean, as soon as you said those shows, like I used to watch them when I was younger as well, but as soon as you said them, all I had in my head were the theme tunes. Like I think that's what stuck with me with those shows. Obviously, the content of the shows are great, but I will never forget the theme tunes.
Oh yeah. Those intros are iconic. They really are. I mean, that show just kind of really took the pages off X-Men books and put it on the screen, and the voice cast was incredible, and the artwork and the animation for its time was really good. Not the later series, it kind of got worse as it went on, but yeah.
So so you had the TV shows first, and then I'm assuming you went and bought X-Men comics and stuff like that. Did you kind of like attach the voices from the TV show to the comics?
100%. I mean, Rogue for me is still Rogue from the TV series. I think Wolverine's voice in that, whilst Hugh Jackman really has kind of defined a live action Wolverine, I still probably read Wolverine in that animated series voice, because he's small and he's stocky and he's horrible, and that voice is lends itself to that character more, I think, than like a Hugh Jackman voice would. But I mean, it's iconic. And Kingpin, I recently did a video unboxing the Marvel Legends Kingpin figure, and it's based a lot around the animated series, and that iconic voice, it always plays out in my head with Kingpin, even though there's been some great interpretations since. So it's funny how these things just stick with you. And I think for me, on like nostalgia and stuff, it's funny, really. I mean, you like Power Rangers, okay? I love Power Rangers, but I only really love my Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, I love my original group, and that's kind of as far as I go. And Digimon and Pokemon, I do my kind of first couple of series, and then as soon as you're on like Pokemon, 300 or whatever it is now, I don't do that really. So it's funny, isn't it? The power of nostalgia as you get older and stuff.
And it kind of you want to look for that stuff to maybe buy or collect it, and then to keep it. But it's more of a feeling, isn't it? You're kind of like keeping bits of your past with you, and that kind of feels nice.
Yeah, I think at the time you never really appreciate kind of how much you're going to appreciate it down the line. So I didn't really look after a lot of stuff. And, I could list countless items that were used, abused, and eventually got rid of. Still to this day, I'm bitter that my Millennium Falcon has gone. Has gone. And, it's just like little things like that. I mean, I really want a Jar Jar Binks Episode 1 figure, because that was one of the first Star Wars toys I'd ever got. And I went to Hamleys with my grandma. My grandma took me to Hamleys, and she was like, right, you can have one of those figures, sort of thing. And I picked Jar Jar because obviously fart jokes and stuff, it was right up my street. I'm after one of those now. So you just kind of want that history still with you, really. And because, let's be honest, we're all going to get dementia eventually, and I'd quite like to have some physical items just to help me along the way.
Yeah, just lock your memories in those items. Yeah, I get what you mean.
Don't think I'm far off sometimes. So.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I think I'm 28 years old now, and I'm like, I walk into a room and I'm like, yep. Why am I in here? What did I come in here for? And then, but like what I've discovered recently is my memory is very related to food. It's a thing where, so my partner, she'll go, oh, you remember when we did that thing quite a while ago? We went here, did this, and I was like, I'm sorry, like I don't remember a thing. And she was like, we went here to eat this, and I'm like, yes, I remember. That was a great meal.
Don't know why that sounded very saucy.
Yeah,
I'm a dirty man. Well, ironically, you'd think fat people care about food, but like I don't care about the memories of food. I just put it in my mouth, and so maybe not the same.
So, when you were in uni, what kind of trades were you reading then? What were you getting?
So I had an epiphany moment during university, and that was my introduction to Alan Moore. So I was introduced to the holy text of the Watchmen, which really for me it was such a kind of interesting commentary on superheroes and the genre, and it really kind of it just made everything click into place for me in terms of why I love comics, and it was just amazing. And then I kind of went on to read some of his other stuff like Top 10 and things like that. And then, it was a fun time for me as a reader, because, that was the beginning. I really was discovering stories properly, because before that it was quite sporadic. It was like, oh, I like that one because it cover's funny. So I was going to Comic Cons and stuff, and me and my mates were like, oh, have you read that one? Oh, okay, yeah. So things like Spider Island and stuff were happening, I think, around that time, and it was really kind of my years to properly kind of educate myself. Obviously I should have been getting a degree, but it was a drama degree, so minimal effort. Yeah, I have a 2-1 in drama studies, about as useful as a chocolate teapot.
That's okay. I mean, you are
fully prepared me to be a receptionist for a finance firm.
I bet there's a lot of drama there, though.
Well, yeah, maybe not the kind I want.
No. And then, so when you left uni, you said you were collecting books. So what kind of books did you start collecting properly then? Like you said, the weekly issues and stuff. Yeah,
so coming back, I think it's always been a big love affair for me with Spider-Man and X-Men, to be honest. Those two I will pretty much always collect. Not Spider-Man right now because it's kind of a bit rubbish at the moment. But Superior Spider-Man, I think, was happening around about that time, which is Dan Slott's just that is his moment. He created such a kind of intriguing story, a real kind of gripping story from start to. I mean, I honestly still think. Apparently, it went on over a year or so, but I still think it shouldn't have ended. Yeah. Have you read Superior?
No, to be honest, I haven't read Spider-Man.
Spoiler! What? Cover your ears, Spider-Man. So basically, long story short, spoiler warning.
That's okay.
Doc Ock kills the body of Spider-Man, but also the consciousness, if that makes sense. So he it's very odd, but he embodies Spider-Man, like Peter Parker's body. So he becomes Spider-Man, but it's not like Peter Parker's voice is in his head or anything, not at the beginning anyway. So he like fully becomes Spider-Man, like he inherits his life. And it's just such a fun read because, you know, this is a Spider-Man that is, you know, not holding his punches, that speaks like a, you know, 50-year-old mad scientist calling people adult and whatnot. And yeah, so I highly recommend Superior Spider-Man. What else? And one of my favorite runs, and it was going to be the answer to one of the questions you're going to ask me, but
we can get to it now if you want.
Well, yeah. Let's segue that.